If you've got an inkling of what the NRA stands for and what they do, the TFA is, put it short, is the NRA on steroids. And the TFA does an outstanding job holding our legislators to uphold our Second Amendment and our constitutional values as well. But I want to welcome you all. I also want all of you to know each of these three candidates have faithfully filled out and responded and mailed back the TFA survey that was sent to all the candidates. I would like for you all to give them a round of applause for having done this. The questions I'll pose will be toward the Second Amendment and toward the Constitution. Thank you.
I'd like to thank all of our panelists ahead of time. These are all citizen activists. They're just like all the rest of us. They spend their time lobbying just on their own dime down at the legislature on behalf of all the things that concern us. So I'd really like to thank them. It's very time consuming, and they make a lot of sacrifices to do what they do. Right now I'm going to introduce James Gann. He is chairman of the Outreach and Development Committee and my partner in crime with these forums. He is going to moderate the panel and the questions. Also, I'd like to introduce Laura Bowling. She is our current clerk of court, and she is our timekeeper. James is going to go over the rules for the panel and for our candidates here. Thank you very much. It blesses my heart to see this much interest in this community, to have you come out and sit in the sauna tonight. You didn't know I arranged that ahead of time for you, did I? But anyway, thanks a lot. You guys are great.
Thank you, Catherine. And thank you everyone for coming tonight. Let me grab my notepad real quick. Take it away. Thank you. Our format's pretty simple tonight. We have obviously a section of 5 panelists that will ask our 3 candidates up here 3 questions each. We'll go in alphabetical order from on the panel. So Frances will be starting. She'll ask 3 questions, one at a time, to each of the candidates up on stage. The candidates will then answer each question, and they will rotate who answers the question first. So we'll start with Eddie Smotherman on the first question, and then we'll go to Representative Mike Sparks, and then Dr. Brian Terry. So on Francis' first question, it will go to Councilman Eddie Smotherman. Oh, and I'm sorry, real quick, time frame, yeah. What's that?
I was going to say, we need
to establish time frame. We're actually going to start with 2-minute introductions by each candidate to give a little spiel about their campaign and tell you who they are. And then we'll open up the questions. And each candidate has 90 seconds to respond to the question. Laura Bowling will be our timekeeper here. She'll give them a 15-second warning. And then she'll give them the red X, tell them to stop. So we'll start with the opening section of 2-minute introductions with Councilman Eddie Smotherman.
Thank you, and it's an honor to be here at the sauna with you tonight. And we're excited about the upcoming election, and I'll challenge you right up front. The most important thing you can do is please get involved, and please be part of this election. Make sure that you vote, and make sure you encourage the people around you to vote. Again, I'm Eddie Smotherman. I was the son of James and Polly Smotherman, who grew up here in Murfreesboro. I've received all my education from Murfreesboro. Haven't ventured far. I've been here coaching youth sports for 38 years. I worked for 18 and a half years in Nissan Motor Manufacturing in the administrative side, so I've got large business experience. I ran my own business over on Northfield Boulevard for the last 13 years, and it was a wonderful experience, and I learned a lot about small businesses and the challenges that small businesses face. I'm a strong believer in public service, and that's the reason my name's on the ballot. It's quite simple. I had no desire to become a state representative, but the job came looking for me, apparently. I've been a volunteer of the year. I've been a locally favored elected official for the Ruthies last year for Rutherford and County counties. But the things I'm most proud of is I'm a Christian, I'm a father, I'm a husband, and I'm a public servant. And I look forward to your questions tonight, and I'm encouraged by the turnout, and thanks again for coming.
Yeah, Mike Sparks. I serve in the 49th District, which is areas of North Murfreesboro, Smyrna, Laverne, a little bit of Arrington, which is out Amelville Road. A lot of folks don't know we have an Arrington community in Rutherford County. Born and raised in Smyrna at the old Seward Air Force Base. Any Air Force brats here from Seward. A lot of folks in Smyrna, their dads and grandfathers are Air Force. My father served in World War II, grew up during the Great Depression. He was a lot older than me, so I probably have a lot of that conservative values in me even as a young child. My mom's from Scotland, and my wife Felicia's back here. If she can raise her hands, raise your hand, Felicia. We just celebrated our 25th year anniversary, and thank God for it, because that's a miracle. I mean, it really kind of is, because we went through tough times and all, and I'm gonna tell you, if it wasn't for putting the good Lord in our life, we probably wouldn't have made it. My oldest boy Preston's back here in the back. Preston asked me earlier, he said, "Dad, did you prepare for this?" I said, "No." I said, "You can't prepare for things like this. You never know what's going to be asked of you." My background, worked at Nissan. I run my own business. We've had 3 businesses at one time. I'll never advise folks to do that. Served on the county commission for 8 years. Served on the Smyrna Planning Committee for 9 years. I probably had a whole lot more energy back then than I do today. It's an honor to serve. Other than my marriage, this is probably the greatest honor is the folks to give me to be a public servant, and that's all I am. And I may have should have wore a tie tonight, but I just, I think to be a great statesman, you got to be a great servant. And my office is always open. My cell number, 525-3198. Most of my constituents have it. And any way I can ever be of assistance, even if you're not in my district, you're welcome to call me. Thanks. It's too hot for a tie.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the GOP and the Americans for Prosperity for having this and for sponsoring this. I'd like to thank the voters for coming out and listening to us. I'd like to thank the moderators and the panel as well. I said, I'm Dr. Brian Terry. I'm a Christian conservative Republican. I'm married to my wife, Cheryl. We've been married for over 22 years. I have a son, Braden, who's 17. He attends Central Magnet School, and our daughter's Breeley, she's 6. She goes to Middle Tennessee Christian. I am a local physician. I work here at the hospital, at the surgery center, and do some work over at Trust Point, which is a rehab facility. We do the electroconvulsive therapy there. I put patients to sleep for that. I am an anesthesiologist, so I hope I don't put you to sleep. I didn't grow up in a medical background. I am 3rd generation auto salvage. When I was 13, I was out there pulling parts off of cars. When I was 16, I was driving our delivery truck. In between there, I was driving our forklift when I didn't put the forks through a car. They'd let me do that. So I've been about as blue collar as they come. I'm probably about as white collar as they come now. Also grew up with our family farm. I grew up around horses. At one point, I was a member of the American Quarter Horse Association. I'm also an enrolled member of the Choctaw Nation. I have a very diverse background, and the District 48 is a very diverse district. We have rural areas, we have suburban areas, and I think that my diversity helps me connect to all the constituents such that I can be a better voice for the constituents. I'm running to be the next representative here of the 48th District, and I'm asking for your vote.
Can everybody hear all right from the very back?
Take your water with you. All right, we'll start with the questions. Francis, you'll ask your first question, and Councilman Eddie Smotherman will answer first, and then on your second question, we'll rotate to Mike Sparks, and then keep that rotation going on for each series of questions. So, everybody get the mic.
90 seconds.
And 90 seconds time.
Thank you. Councilman Smotherman, during the last session, members of the Tennessee General Assembly presented legislation that would permit the prosecution of a woman for assault for the illegal use of a narcotic drug while pregnant. If her child is born addicted to or harmed by that narcotic drug, or the addiction or harm is a result of her illegal use of a narcotic drug taken while pregnant. It is the position of Tennessee Right to Life that this law could lead some women who are fearful of prosecution or not fully understanding the statute to abort their unborn baby rather than facing sentencing. Would you be willing to sponsor legislation to repeal this law? Why or why not?
You opened up with a real easy question, didn't you? You could have asked me something about the city. But the answer to your question is it's a difficult question to answer, and I'm stammering because I'm not sure. I would have to do a ton of homework to come up with an answer and say anything that would be something that I could commit to and say 1,000% yes I would or no I wouldn't. Certainly the way you presented the question, it sounds like something that I would certainly support because we don't want to encourage the abortion. If it's something that we see so many laws and pieces of legislation and stuff that comes before us and ordinances and that type of thing that there's rarely ever a pure black and white answer, and certainly in this particular situation it's hard for me to give you a solid yes or a no, and that sounds wishy-washy. I'm not being political with you. I'm just trying to answer your question as openly and honestly as I can. I do believe that we do need to make women responsible while they're carrying children because it's the life of an unborn child that is involved here. But we don't want to do anything that's encouraging women to go get an abortion. So I hope that answers your question, and I know it's a pretty transparent answer, but after doing some homework, if you'll allow me a little time, I'll get back with you and tell you whether or not I would sponsor the legislation.
Same question, yeah. That's Terry Lynn Weaver's bill, wasn't it?
Yes.
Sure, I thought it was. Now, didn't Dunn carry it last year? Okay. And I think that's tough. It really is. I know Terry, she's probably, in my opinion, one of the most compassionate legislators up there. But I think it goes back to saying why the drug issue is so important. The calls that I get, the text messages I get, the families, just Saturday, a guy I grew up with put a gun to his head, blew his brains out. He was on meth, and ironically, his mom was the former assistant police chief. I met with her 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about the drug issue, and she was like, Mike, you need to be really working more hard on the mental health areas. And, Governor Haslam and I knocked on her door. We went around the neighborhoods a few years back when he was running, and Governor Haslam knows I'm very passionate about this issue because it affects families. That's a mother you're talking about, as somebody's child, as somebody's sister, quite frankly, I just, ironically, I was talking to John Harris the other day. I wish TFA would get involved in the drug issue. I've met with TFA.